Uh, did no one tell me or anybody else that an Unearthed Arcana dropped on Monday? Because I saw nothing about it. Nobody messaged me about it. I just happened to see because a D&D video popped up from the official D&D channel about new giant-based options in an Unearthed Arcana that apparently, yeah, dropped on the 23rd of May and just lived in limbo on the Wizards of the Coast website until people brought attention to it right now. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, but hey, if you like what I do here and you like seeing me cover D&D related stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel. I don't have the metrics in front of me, but there's usually around 40 or so % of you watching the videos right now that are not subscribed. And if you do so, it really does help out the channel. I'd love to hit 100K by the time Gen Con rolls around, and only you guys have the possibility to make that happen. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So you can see, look here, May 23rd, 3 days ago. Let's take a look. So we're going to get 3 new subclass options, a Barbarian, Druid, and Wizard option, as well as new feats, which I'm very curious to see how the feats are going to translate into the way we've seen feats being adjusted lately. So the Barbarian Path of the Giant here. At 3rd level, you get Giant Power. When you choose this path, you can learn to speak, read, and write Giant or one other language of your choice if you already know Giant. Additionally, you learn either Druidcraft or Thaumaturgy. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for this. Interesting that it's Wisdom and not letting you choose, but that's fine. Maybe there's reasons why. And also Giant's Havoc. Your rage pulls strength from the primal might of giants, transforming you into a hulking force of destruction. While raging, you gain the following benefits. Crushing Hurl. When you make a successful ranged attack with a thrown weapon using strength, you can add your rage damage bonus to the attack's damage roll. So, for those of you who are ever questioning whether or not strength, rage damage bonus got added to thrown weapons, it was pretty clear to me that that was never the case, but if you had a question, now you know that it never did, because Crushing Hurl basically defines that because you have this ability, now you have that, and that's an always-on thing. And Giant Stature. Your reach increases by 5 feet, and if you are larger or smaller than the large size, you become large size, along with anything you are wearing. If there isn't enough room for you to become large, your size doesn't change. So these are while raging. So you just have, again, a lot of people I've seen in the comments have been asking for a large race. As something, and apparently we're not going to get that, but it is limited via rage, which again eventually rage becomes unlimited. So even if you're small size, you would jump up to large size, which is pretty cool. So those are just constant benefits while you're raging. All right, level 6, we get Elemental Cleaver. When you enter your rage, you can infuse one weapon of your choice that you're holding with an elemental type, here acid, cold, fire, thunder, or lightning. While you wield the infused weapon during your rage, the weapon's damage type changes to whatever that type is, and deals an extra d6 damage of that chosen type. And when it hits, it gets the thrown property with a range of 20-60, which means that it does benefit from the element we saw, Crushing Hurl. If you throw this weapon, it reappears in your hand the instant after it hits or misses a target. The infused weapon benefits are suppressed while a creature other than you wields it. So if you have a weapon, you throw it, and they catch it, the effects don't work. While raging and holding the infused weapon, you can use a bonus action to change the infused weapon's current damage type. Wow, this is really good. So I often find if you're not a melee class that has a way to bump up the damage consistently, like for example, paladins and rogues have their sort of mechanic, right? You have smite, you have sneak attack. Fighters get more attacks. As a barbarian, you have rage damage, which is solid, consistent damage that you don't need to worry about. But one thing you don't have, other than, doing the standard things a lot of barbarians seem to do, like great weapon fighting, great weapon master, things of that nature, you will get brutal critical, but if you don't crit a lot, it doesn't really help you. So to see a way to just boost up damage by base with this elemental cleaver thing is nice. It functions with and it synergizes with things you already get at 3rd level. And it also has the nice benefit of a bonus action letting you switch the damage type, which does allow you to cover more options when it comes to combat, which is pretty cool. You get Mighty Impel at 10th level here. As a bonus action while you're raging, you can choose one medium or smaller creature within your reach and move it to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of you. An unwilling creature must succeed on a strength saving throw to avoid the effect. Okay, so you can basically just like, whoop, get out of here. So if they choose to do it, you can move them to any space within 30 feet. An unoccupied space that could be up levels and down levels and things. If they're not willing, they have to make a strength save based off of your strength modifier. And if at the end of this movement, the thrown creature isn't on a surface or liquid that can support it, the creature falls, taking damage as normal and landing prone. Huh. So if it isn't on a surface or liquid that can support it, it falls. In theory, if I'm reading that correctly, 30 feet straight up from you is an unoccupied space. So you could just be like, yeet, and throw them up 30 feet in the air, and then they just immediately fall back down. So you could, in theory, throw somebody up as a bonus action while raging. And it also says if they can't support it, they take damage as normal and land prone. So in theory, you throw them up in the air, take a step back, they then drop and fall prone, taking fall damage, landing prone, then triggering you up to get attacks with advantage, if I'm reading that correctly. And lastly, Demiurgic Colossus at 14. When you rage, your reach now increases by 10 feet. So mind you, it was 5. Now it jumps up by 10. So it'll have a total of 15-foot reach. Your size increases to huge size, and now you can now use your Mighty Impel feature, the one we just talked about, on large or smaller creatures. And something I was hoping to see, and we do, the damage dealt by your Elemental Cleaver feature goes up to 2d6. That's pretty nice depending on the kind of weapon that you're using, because you're getting an extra 2d6. You will still have Brutal Critical and things that can stack on and build up those d6s as well. So that's kind of fun. Or I guess Brutal Critical is only on your weapon damage. But either way, if you're critting, you're going to be rolling a lot of dice. So that's pretty fun. I can see you could be rolling a fistful of d6s if you're rolling with a greatsword, which would be pretty cool. I like it. I don't normally like barbarian classes. I was a fan of some of the newer ones that we've seen lately. And I like the Path of the Beast probably the most. But this giant one is pretty good. All right, Druid. Now, I've often expressed, and I made different videos about it, that I don't typically like Druids. Perhaps Circle of the Primeval will change my opinion. Now, I've said in the past that I don't love so many concentration-based spells, and I thought that the sort of mechanic of Wild Shape was okay, and it says Primeval Companion, and my biggest complaint about Druids was I used to love having an animal companion. So I'm preemptively telling you, do not freak out if I freak out, because I may lose my shit on this if this is what I want, and I'm super excited to see this. Keeper of the Old at 2nd level. You gain proficiency in the history skill. You make an intelligence history check. You can roll a d4 and add it to the ability check. Interesting. Kind of just like a free guidance on history. Okay. Here we go. Primeval Companion. You can call upon the primeval creature whose spirit is bound to you. As an action, expend 1 use of your Wild Shape feature to summon your primeval companion rather than assuming a beast form. It appears in a space within 30 feet. I'm already excited. We got a companion. Okay. It is friendly to you and your companions. It has the game statistics that we just saw. We're going to look at those in a sec, which uses your proficiency bonus in several places. You can determine the cosmetic appearance of the companion. For example, your companion may evoke ancient predators like raptors or saber-toothed tigers, or it might be more inclined for defense, appearing as an ankylosaurus or a rhino. These creatures have no effect on the companion's game statistics. Great. Just a fun aesthetic thing that you can do. I love it. In combat, the companion shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but the only action it takes on its turn is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action. That action can be one from its stat block or some other action. If you are incapacitated, it can take any actions of its choice. So it uses standard sort of what I'll call pet mechanics. So far, 100% on board with this. We'll look at the stat block. That might change my opinion. All right. It remains until it's reduced to 0 hit points or it dies. If you use this feature to summon the companion again, you already have a companion present. Anything left behind was wearing or carrying. Okay. I'm all for this. It's twice per short rest, in theory, because it's Wild Shape based. Guys, this might be it. This might be my Druid class. Here we go. Primeval Companion. Its armor class is 13 plus proficiency bonus. That's pretty solid, starting at a 15. Hit points 10 plus 5 times your druid level in d10s. It has a movement speed of 30. Its stats are 15, 15, 17, 6, 12, 8. Pretty solid. It has proficiency bonus, proficiency rather in dexterity saving throws and constitution saving throws. It has dark vision. It understands the languages you speak. All right. It has a strike ability. It is 2 plus your proficiency bonus to hit. It does a d8 plus proficiency bonus in bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. You pick. It also has a reaction, intercept attack. When a creature the companion can see hits a target with an attack, and the target is within 5 feet of the companion, the target instead takes half the damage, so it can basically, as it says, intercept the attack and shrug off some of the damage for either you or an ally. I'm on board right now. Let's see how much better it gets. Prehistoric Conduit. When you cast a spell with the range other of self, the spell can originate from you or your primeval companion. Pretty solid. In addition, if the primeval companion is affected by a spell you cast that allows creatures to make saving throws against its effects, the primeval companion has advantage on the saving throw. If it would normally take half damage on a successful save against this spell, the companion instead takes no damage on a successful save and half on a success. Oh, I got so excited. I thought they gave it evasion outright. It's only evasion, but for your spells. It's so close. Just give it evasion, right? This is the biggest complaint everybody has with Beastmaster is they die so early. I mean, granted, you can summon it back, so I guess it's not like as impactful as it could be. I do like this, though. I like this a lot. That means you don't have to worry about damaging your own companion by dropping like a fire. You can't do fireball. You're a druid. You can't do fireball. I don't know, flame strike, some AoE attack. It won't hurt your companion. It's also, the other thing I noticed is it's not evasion. It is basically evasion for any saving throw. So it's not just dexterity based. They will take, they have advantage and they will take no damage on a success regardless of the kind of saving throw you're throwing that direction. Okay. Level 10, Titanic Bond. The companion grows to large size when you summon it, and it can either have a swimming speed or a climbing speed. I like it. In turn, the primeval companion lends you some of its terrifying might. Once per turn, while your primeval companion is summoned, when you hit a creature with an attack or deal damage to a creature you can see with a spell you cast, you can force the creature to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the creature is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. Okay, not my favorite, but frightened is a fairly powerful condition, although you are not getting access to this till level 10, and it is something that a lot of things have immunity to, but okay. They can still turn this around when we hit level 14. Scourge of the Ancients. As a part of the bonus action you use to command your companion, you can expend a spell slot of any level to heighten your primeval companion's might, granting it the following benefits. Hulking Behemoth. The companion becomes huge and gains temporary hit points equal to 10 times the level of the spell slot expended. If there isn't enough room for it to become huge, it attains the maximum size possible. Mauler, on a hit, the companion's strike deals an additional damage equal to a d8 plus the level of the spell. Deals an additional damage equal to d8 plus the level of the spell slot. So it's not smite, but it's a d8 plus some extra damage. And Titanic Stride, its walking speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. It lasts for an hour until it vanishes or until you expend a spell slot for this feature again. I like it. I like it a lot. I do not feel like it's going to hold up power level wise to something like a Wildfire Druid or even a Stars Druid. I think Wildfire Druid does have a pet mechanic. We can all agree with that. But I think while the Wildfire Druid's Wildfire Spirit is limited in its nature and how long it stays present on the battlefield, whereas the Primeval Companion can stay for significantly longer, I do appreciate what they're doing. This is exactly what I've wanted from a Druid, so I can't argue with that. I could very similarly replicate my original 3/5 Druid by making this look like a crocodile, which would be really awesome. I like Prehistoric Conduit. I like, I would have preferred a share spell feature, possibly. It just having the ability to get better at dealing with saving throws could be fun as well. Titanic Bond, I like a lot, making it large size. It's now rideable for most, for medium-sized creatures. It's got a climbing speed or a swimming speed. That could be fun, again, especially if I'm doing the crocodile thing. It's just my only thing is, it is nice that this benefit here is not, it doesn't use a resource, right? Once per turn while it's summoned, when you hit a creature or deal damage with a spell, depending on the type of spell you use, there's almost like guarantee that you could cause someone to take damage. To a creature you can see, you can force that creature to make the wisdom saving throw. So it is a freebie, so I can't argue with a freebie opportunity to make someone frightened of me. That's good because it doesn't use any resource. I don't know, I wish it wasn't something that didn't come in until we see at level 14. We get this ability, it's on a hit, the companion strike deals additional damage equal to a d8 plus the level of the spell slot. If this was d8s equal to the spell slot, that could be a little bit better. That might be a little too much because it's similar to a smite. But I don't know, this is a really cool ability. I feel like it adds a lot of opportunity to jack up the power level of your Primeval Companion, but it doesn't come on to level 14. So I don't know if I would like to see that come on earlier or just something to make your companion be able to do a little bit more damage. Because you're going to be, at least for a lot of this, you may be dealing more damage than your companion, but I also recognize that this is, in theory, a bonus action every turn, while you are still allowed to use your full action to do things, casting spells and the like. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I think it's like 75% of the way there. Just needs a little tweaking to land it. But all right, let's look at the wizard, the Rune Crafter. Okay, people like wizards and runes, so this makes sense. You always have comprehend languages prepared and can cast it without expending a spell slot. It doesn't count against the number of spells you have. That's awesome. No one's going to be upset about having freebie comprehend languages. You also get runic empowerment at 2nd level. Your knowledge of runes is stored in your spell book. You get to determine the cosmetic appearance of this. When you cast a spell using a spell slot, you can invoke one of the following runes. We have 3 here. The Life Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature within 30 feet. You can choose to give that creature temporary hit points equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot. The War Rune. Choose a creature within 30 feet. Until the end of your next turn, attack rolls against the chosen target gain a bonus equal to half the level of the spell slot expended, rounded up. So that's any attack rolls, not just yours. So that's pretty cool. That has a lot of power because the more hits you can get on something, the better. Or the Wind Rune. Your speed increases by 5 feet times the level of the spell slot expended, and your movement now doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. It lasts until the start of your next turn. I think the Life Rune is obviously very strong, giving out temporary hit points, but War Rune may be the real winner here until the end of your next turn. So you could do this turn, get another turn, but anybody who goes after you also gets the opportunity to just deal out additional damage. And this is when you cast a spell. You can do this, you can invoke no more than 1 rune per spell, and you can do this proficiency bonus times per long rest. Okay. You still have the whole wizard spell list at your disposal, so that's pretty strong. Sigils of Warning at 6th level. When you fail a strength, dex, or con saving throw, you can use your reaction to expend one of your runic empowerments, that's the feature we just talked about, and succeed instead. So you kind of have your own kind of legendary resistance, which is pretty cool. You can not use up one of your runic empowerments to just succeed. Interesting that it's not, I guess it's strength, dex, and con are giant based. A wisdom, being able to see it on a wisdom saving throw would also be nice, but fair enough. Rune Maven at level 10. Whenever you use your arcane recovery feature, that is your wizard ability to get half of your wizard level and expended spell slots back on a short rest. You also regain a number of your expended uses of runic empowerment. The number of uses you can regain can be no more than half your intelligence modifier, so they hard limited that a little harder. But that makes sense because you're limited to proficiency bonus times per long rest. But either way, using a wizard feature that you already have and giving it additional benefits, I like it. And then we have Engraved Enmity at level 14. As a bonus action, you target one creature you can see within 60 feet. They must make a wisdom saving throw. or be magically marked by an enmity rune, it appears as a faintly glowing mote of energy that hovers over the marked creature, and when they suffer the following effects. They have disadvantage on saving throws against spells you cast. Fantastic. The radiance of the glowing rune makes it so they can't become invisible. They become visible if they are visible, and they can't become invisible. Also a huge benefit. And Woeful Curse. When you mark the creature as a bonus action on subsequent turns for the duration, you can invoke the enmity rune to curse the creature until the start of your next turn. The next time one of your allies hits the cursed creature with an attack roll, the target also takes a d8 force damage, and the curse ends. It lasts for a minute or until you lose your concentration. Once you have marked a creature in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest or expend a 3rd level spell slot. So that one's actually pretty good. It has some benefits. You get to give disadvantage on your spells. It is a bonus action, so you can do this and then hit them with a spell. It unfortunately uses your concentration in the Woeful Curse ability, so if you had a concentration effect up, you're going to lose it. But it also gives you some damage from your allies and removes their invisibility. I'd say this one's pretty strong. It's a, I guess I'd call it a passive class, as it were, right? I mean, your somatic, let's say, you have your runic empowerment feature. Having comprehend languages all the time, like I said, is great. Runic empowerment is kind of a passive thing. You're still just a base wizard, but with these abilities, you can choose to provide temporary hit points. No actual healing, but temporary hit points. Increase the damage output, or get yourself a little battlefield survivability in the wind rune, which is nice. Again, the Sigil of Warding is a great oh shit button if things start going south. Rune Maven just gives you options, and then Engraved Enmity, again, giving you more power when you're doing things, which again is a bonus action. And that one is not, it's basically once per long rest, but you can expend slots to get it back. I'm all for it. These are really good classes. Like I said, I think the Barbarian is great. I think the Wizard, probably not my favorite Wizard, but still really good. And like I said, I think the Druid is like 75% of the way there. All right, let's try the feats. Now, we're probably going to live in the world where we have new feats, kind of like we saw in the Heroes of Krynn Revised. So we have 3 without prerequisites. We have Elemental Touched, Outsized Might, and a Rune Carver Apprentice. We also see some of these have 4th level and 8th level prerequisites, so it seems like feat chains or feat trees are here to stay, at least in the Unearthed Arcana. So what does Elemental Touched get us? You learn either Druid, Craft, or Thaumaturgy, and you get to pick your casting ability for it. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can choose an element, air, earth, fire, or water, and depending on your choice, you get a bonus action that can do one of the following things. If you choose air, you gain a fly speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your turn. If you are airborne at the end of your turn, you fall. Earth, you can use the ground within 30 feet of you to make the ground within 30 feet of you difficult terrain for a minute, or until you create this effect again. During that time, you can move across the ground that is difficult terrain without spending extra movement. Fire, until the end of your turn, your movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. And water, you create a forceful surge of water directed at a creature within 15 feet of you. They must make a strength save, which they can choose to fail, or be pushed 10 feet away from you. The water vanishes immediately, and you can use this feature a number of times, proficiency bonus times per long rest. Okay, let's go ahead and check Outsized Might. That's the next one that doesn't have a prerequisite. You have absorbed primeval magic. It gives you the following benefits. You gain proficiency in either athletics or acrobatics. You count as one size larger, you get powerful build for carrying capacity and the amount you can push, drag, or lift. And Stalwart, you have advantage on saving throws against being moved or knocked prone. Okay, that's a pretty solid one. If you're going to be a grappler type, that's pretty useful, or a big bulky guy, or gal, or person, or slime, whatever you want to be. And then Rune Carved Apprentice is the other non-prerequisite one. So whenever you finish a long rest, you can mark one non-magical weapon, armor, piece of clothing, or object you can touch with a rune of your choice. You temporarily learn one first-level spell based on the rune you choose, as specified in the rune spells table, which we see below. And you know this spell once you finish a long rest. You know the spell until you finish a long rest, and when it fades. Okay, so the options are, we can see a whole bunch of different runes. We see False Life, Fog Cloud, Ray of Sickness, Chromatic Orb, Bane, Burning Hands, Bless, Armor of Agathis, Goodberry, Longstrider, Command, Guiding Bolt, Cure Wounds, Jump, Shield, Sanctuary, Thunderwave, Heroism, and Featherfall. That is a massive list of spells. So you finish a long rest, you inscribe the rune, and you learn this spell until you finish a long rest. While you are wearing or carrying the rune-marked object, you can cast the chosen spell with the rune once without expending a spell slot or material component. You can also cast the spell using any spell slots you have. Your spellcasting ability for this feat is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. Okay, so let's take a look at the options, right? We have some good ones here. Bless is always useful. Armor of Agathis, Goodberry, Cure Wounds. These are really good ones just to have as a one-off, as is Shield or Featherfall. So you can cast it with spell slots you have, so that's always good. But remember, this is when you finish you temporarily learn one, and you know the rune until you finish a long rest when the rune fades. So you can mark something different. So this is actually huge because of this concept here, where you can cast this spell with any spell slots you have. That means that you can, in theory, change this and have that whatever spell you need the next day, and then have that to spend with any of your existing spell slots. So that's pretty interesting. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's a versatile first level spell there. All right, so let's go look at some of the other 4th level prerequisites. So we have Fury of the Frost Giant. Oh, we're just apparently giving out resistances with feats now. So we have Fury of the Frost Giant, resistance to cold damage. When a creature hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to retaliate with a burst of magical ire. They must make a wisdom saving throw based on your con mod or be frightened until the start of your next turn. You can use this reaction proficiency bonus times per long rest. So the prerequisite is just seemingly at this point, with the exception of Rune Carver Adept, just level based, not anything specific after that. All right, the next 4th level one. Keenness of the Stone Giant. You learn the Detect Thought spell and one first level spell of your choice. The first level spell must be from Abjuration or Divination. You can cast these without expending a spell slot. You can also cast, once you cast them, you can't finish them until you finish a long rest. You can cast them with spell slots you have. You also have Mountain Sight. You gain dark vision out to 60 feet, and if you already have it, it goes out by another 30 feet. And then there's also Vigor of the Hill Giant. When you are subjected to an effect that would move you at least 5 feet or knock you prone, you can use your reaction to steady yourself. And it just doesn't happen. And Hardy Health. When you are subjected to a spell that restores your hit points, you regain additional hit points equal to your con mod. You can regain these additional hit points a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus times per long rest. Let's take a look at the Rune Carver Adept. So that's kind of it requires you to have Rune Carver Apprenticed. To access it, whenever you finish a long rest, you can now mark a number of objects. Oh, wow. Mark a number of objects equal to your proficiency bonus with a rune from the Rune Carver feat. An object can only have one rune at a time. That's actually pretty crazy because that could be up to, I mean, by the time you're at 4th level, you're hitting 2. Then next level, you'll have 3. So if you can cast these with spell slots you have, that's essentially giving you 3 of these first level spells once a day for free, but then also letting you cast them with spell slots. And again, you don't have to change them daily. You could be like, all right, cool, I'm going to have Cure Wounds, Armor of Agathis, and Shield every day. I've got those prepared. And then swap them out if something happens and you need something specifically. But being able to do that, and again, this could scale all the way up to 6 by the time you get to higher levels. Granted, you're at that point, how often are you going to be using first level spells? I mean, it depends on the spell, but either way, that's pretty powerful. I enjoy that. All right, now let's check our 8th level ones. Ember of the Fire Giant gives us resistance to fire damage. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with a burst of magical flame. Each creature of your choice within 15 feet must make a dex save based on your con, and on a failure, they take 2d6 plus your proficiency bonus in fire damage and are blinded until the start of your next turn. And a successful save, they take half damage and suffer no additional effects. You can use this proficiency bonus times per long rest. We have Guile of the Cloud Giant. You can cast the Blur spell without using spell slots or material components. It doesn't require concentration for you either. When you cast the spell in this way, you don't get to do it again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast this normally with spell slots. And Silver Tongue, you gain proficiency in either Deception or Persuasion, and you get basically expertise in that double proficiency bonus in that as well. And then the only other one we haven't covered here is Soul of the Storm Giant. As a bonus action, you get Maelstrom Aura. As a bonus action, you surround yourself in an aura of magical wind and lightning that extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. The aura lasts for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. While the aura is active, attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and whenever a creature starts its turn within that 10-foot sphere, you can force that creature's speed to be halved until at the start of its next turn. Once you use this bonus action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. And Storm's Oracle, you can cast the Divination spell as a ritual without needing material components. Once you cast it in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You also don't get to cast this with spell slots you have. You just get the one freebie. So I'm going to say Soul of the Storm Giant's probably on the weaker side. If Vigor of the Hill Giant gave you the extra hit points every time you healed, I'd say I'd like it. I like Runecarver Apprentice more, knowing that Runecarver Adept exists. I think Outsized Might will definitely have a lot of picks for a lot of Barbarian or Grapple type strong characters. I think that would definitely fit there. Keenness of the Stone Giant isn't bad, giving you Detect Thoughts and a first level spell of your choice. Again, that's Abjuration or Divination School, so you could choose to get, say, something like Shield. You'd get Detect Thoughts and, again, we'll use Shield as the example, for free once a day, but could cast them with spell slots of your choice, and getting you either Dark Vision or Extended Dark Vision. The Guile of the Cloud Giant, giving you a non-concentration version of Blur, is pretty nice, also giving you Deception or Persuasion with double proficiency bonus is pretty nice. Fury of the Frost Giant, I'd say the resistance to cold damage would probably be the big reason to grab it. And then again, same thing, Ember of the Fire Giant is also nice, fire resistance, but a little bit of damage as well. And then I think Elemental Touched is only okay, in my opinion. You know, the cantrips are nice, but I don't think I particularly like any of the abilities enough to really warrant. I guess Fire's pretty good, being able to give yourself... It is a bonus action, I think, to use this, to give yourself movement that doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. So that's kind of like basically using Disengage as a bonus action. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Which one of these is your favorite subclass? I think the Barbarian wins for me for the favorite subclass out of the three. Like I said, I think with a little tweaking, the final version of the Primeval Druid could be just what I want to play. And then the feats, yeah, I think they're very interesting. We didn't get to see any of these tied to specific backgrounds. But the better question is, what do you think these are associated with? What is this book? What book is going to house these giant options? I don't know. We already talked, well, I guess you didn't see the video yet that I made about Vecna because I didn't put it out yet. But what could Vecna be in? Now what are these giant-related options going to be in? Who knows? Anyway, folks, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all next time.